Hello everyone, I'm Olga Koelsch and welcome back to my studio. I have got such a treat today and I feel very excited about this. I'm shortly going to show you how to paint a lilac branch with all these tiny little details around, which would not be scary at all. So let's start. Before I start to paint in a lilac, I already prepared some colors which we will need. This is Quinacridone purple, Quinacridone rose, ultramarine. It will mix all in the process and you will see. So I'm starting with Quinacridone purple and I imagine that our branch will go like this. So just to start with something, I will paint the first flower in very diluted purple shades, and the trick is that I'm not actually planning to paint each and every flower because it's kind of insane to paint all these little details, but I'm painting the volume. I'm feeling the volume of our purple branch, and to make it beautiful, I mix in the process different shades of purple, of blue, because depending on how sun shines, our lilac flowers has very different accents and shades. I just keep in mind that usually lilac flowers has 4 petals. Of course, sometimes there are more, 5 for example. I don't know how it is with you. In my country, it was a symbol of good luck to find a 5 petals lilac, and you had to eat it and to make a wish and think about some wish. Now it sounds really funny, but yes, for example, I will hide my 5 petal lilac just here. Who knows, maybe it will bring luck to somebody. I'm actually no need to paint all 4 petals, because sometimes we see 3 of petals, sometimes we see just 2 of petals, and flowers, they usually look in different directions. So I just keep in mind that this is the future shape of the branch, of the lilac branch, and I just feel it in. It's a little bit like painting a mosaic, and it's very relaxing. It's supposed to be very relaxing, and I hope you really enjoy it. Maybe for somebody it will remind a cross-stitch embroidery in a way. I just hope you really enjoy the process. I think that's the most important, to enjoy the process, to be creative, just to like what you do. Next step, usually the buds of lilac, they always darker and they are more reddish. That's why I'm mixing Quinacridone rose with ultramarine to get this darker lilac style, and I'm with the tip of the brush, just with the tip of the brush, I'm painting some closed buds. So I'm not painting all of them, I just make some ideas where they could go. Sometimes I paint them in different directions, just like this, and now you see we got a nice pretty contrast. And while I still have this darker color on the tip of my brush, I would like to paint some middles in this branch, in some open flowers, and that creates the volume. Now I would like to take more diluted color and again fill in the space. And to make it more interesting, I just mix all the shades of purple, pink color I have. Right now I'm not counting the amount of petals. You see, it's more like I'm filling in the shape. For example, here would be nice to make some accent flower, accent small little flower, and to make it very light, I leave some, I hope you could see it, I leave some white spaces in the petals, and suddenly it looks very realistic, very bright, and very more on the sunshine. And I keep doing this. The darker color, the darker petals are supposed to be under the lighter ones, because all the lighter colors are always on the top and darker in the bottom, because because of the shades. All flowers which are down, they are in the shade and they are very contrast. And we will be back to that making contrast again. I want to add some special bright flowers. I would like to add some petals like this, like light petals here. Maybe here. Just like this. And I proceed to paint that. Sometimes I'm just randomly mixing on my palette different shades of lilac colors. You could mix your own version, and for example, if you find some really beautiful mixture, just let me know in comments what's your favorite purple color, what's your favorite mix for purple colors. I personally like to mix Quinacridone rose with ultramarine blue, and depending on the amount of one of the two, it really brings a big variety. You could basically paint everything in lilac with these two colors. I want to make the now it's too geometric. I want to make it more curvy, so I'm moving in here. Not to forget in some contrast, lighter petals. For example, here would be nice. And it kind of reminds painting with kids. When kids goes to kindergarten or primary school, they paint in the class. They paint like this, making stamps. It's very easy way to paint lilac. I like the shape very much. Maybe some last touches at the bottom, but we are not done yet. We will proceed with greenery and some buds, and a lot of more of the other elements, but with the main volume we are basically done. I want For example, I want to make this part a little bit more uneven, because right now it looks too straight, maybe, which you rarely could see in the real life. Usually buds are growing in different directions and looking in different directions, and everything is maybe a little bit chaotic, looks a bit chaotic. So I would like to imitate that. Some buds are more closed and more dark, and they usually, on lilac, they usually grow in these small clusters, and that's, I'm imitating it. And I just use the same mixture of Ultramarine and Quinacridone rolls, just with different proportions, and it really gives big variety of elements. Sometimes buds looking right on us, and they make this square feeling. I would like to fill in some gaps with buds, like I told, they square. I hope you could see the idea here. For example, like this. Could you recognize? Could you? Yeah, I hope you could. I hope you see. Yes, that's the bud of lilac. It's exactly what I have in my imagination when I'm thinking of lilacs. And actually, if I'm painting too quick and you would like to paint with me together, not to stop the video, I would recommend you to reduce the speed. Usually people like to increase the speed, but if you like to paint right with me, you could a little bit slow down the speed, and so we could paint all together. Now it's time to take something brownish, oxide red or burnt sienna would be very nice for branches, for small little tiny details. I like, for example, use this brown color to connect small tiny little buds, to put them into one stem. Now I painting the main branch. We can't see the whole branch, but somewhere in the gaps I made some traces and I connect all the small little buds. They need to find the place here. Later on we add more greenery there. For example, it's now it's handy to paint with two brushes, one with brown color, one with lilac. So with one brush I painted the branch, with the other I put some buds on this branch. Of course you could paint just with one, but for me it's a bit time saving, and also paintings saving, because no need to wash out your brush every time. It's always a bit pity to wash out all the nice mixtures which you have on the tip of the brush already. I would like to paint the stem, the branch, and to make it realistic, I first imagine how this branch goes. It should be around this direction. Always add some curves. If you're unsure, better make more curvy line than more straight. When you paint flowers, it makes it more realistic, more artistic. You could rarely find something very straight in nature. Usually it's a lot of different varieties. Now I'm adding very dark brown color, Van Dyke in my case. Any brown color will work nice. It's more like to add some shades and some contrasts. I don't take that too much, just randomly to some directions. And you see how beautiful now this contrast with bright brown and lilac, because they are the opposite colors, warm bright brown and cold lilac, and that's why it has such a sparkling, such warm, sunshine feeling now. It's now we are getting to the greenery part. For greenery part, I use that green. You could take any green you like and just add a hint of purple to make it a little bit more dusty. It will be one green color, and another green color I will mix with oxide red, with our brownish color, to get the warm yellowish, or the warm greenish. I'm taking the bigger brush and I want to imitate the greenery. For example, big green leaf. I start with the tip of the brush. I hope you could see. I make this angle with the tip of the brush, then belly of the brush, and I'm get back to the tip of the brush. That's half of the leaf. For another half I will add a little bit of our yellowish color, just to make this nice variety. Belly of the brush, tip of the brush, and I like to leave some white space in the middle to emphasize the middle vine of the leaf. And again, some I start with a small stem, tip of the brush, belly of the brush. It's a bit tricky here because we are painting under the petals, but the principle is the same. Tip of the brush, belly of the brush, tip of the brush. I usually do not like when greenery plays the main role, and in lilac has a lot of green leaves, so that's why I took these diluted greenery colors, and one again leaf, which will be half, which we could see just the half of the leaf. So if it helps, you could paint that line, and then tip of the brush, belly of the brush, and tip of the brush, like this. Now we are back to our branch, and I would like to add some leaves just here. try to leave some white spaces. It add this airy feeling, and just beautiful. And also because of their lilac leaves, they are pretty big, and I do not want them to be the accent part, so I try to paint them very diluted and leave a lot of white space around. I think one more leaf would be nice, just here, tip of the brush, belly of the brush, and that's it. And let's hide it inside. You could add some random green strokes inside. This still a little bit looks weird. I think it needs a pair, a friend leaf just here, like this. Don't afraid to paint on the top of the flowers. That's completely okay. No, I don't. It will make the volume feeling even nicer. Now I switch back to a finer brush. I create maybe a little bit too bold mixture of warm green, because I want to emphasize some of the small stems inside. I want to emphasize some of details on the leaves and around, some shades with the greenery. So just with random strokes I go around, I play around with green. Now I like how we manage with greenery. That's nice. And let's add some contrast inside. For this I will prepare bold mixture of Ultramarine, Quinacridone rose, a bit more of rose, and a bit more. Yes, about this. This is good. Now I just with some strokes I fill in the gaps, these white gaps, in different directions. It will imitate some part of the flowers which we can't see. We can't see the whole flower because it's deep inside this branch, but we could see one or two petals, and they are in the shade. That's why they are so dark. Try to paint them in different directions, like in the real flower. We could see one petal, or we could see another petal. Just randomly, and no need to fill all the white gaps, just somewhere. Sometimes, especially when you here in the bottom we have a lot of light white flowers, they are crying for some contrast. They really need some contrast to make them more bright, more interesting. Yes, good. And some final touches. I take the same bold mixture. Now I will paint the middles of the flowers. Somewhere we already did it, somewhere we are going to make it even nicer. I would recommend you, in the flowers which are darker, use our bold purple mixture, like I do now, here for example. And for the other flowers, which are more lighter, use oxide red, because naturally lilac flowers, they have this yellowish middle, and it will work on these lighter versions, on the pinky shades, on just the lighter flowers. It will work pretty nice. Some variety everywhere. And for example, if you notice that this part could be more of a contrast, it's okay to add something here. And really last small details. I want on just a few front petals to add some curves. Oh, you remember that? That's our lucky petal with five petals. That's paint it a bit more. Just some extra brush strokes to imitate these curvy petals. And this is it. Our beautiful, tender lilac branch is ready. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the process. I hope you feel inspired to paint your own lilac branches. I'm looking forward to see you tags on my Instagram, olga.koelsch. Subscribe my channel, and I wish you a lovely, wonderful day. Bye bye.